enough about the Eagles because there's obviously other teams who had home runs in their draft A pluses. A lot that people were still high on. Jake, I think you were also still high on the Jets, right? Obviously, getting Zach Wilson with the number 2 overall pick, but also Elijah Vera-Tucker, the offensive guard with the 14th pick out of USC, to go and help him, and then Elijah Moore, one of the premier wide receivers in the draft out of Ole Miss. Like they had a really solid draft, and good on the Jets. How about this draft being the draft of perennially bad drafters doing it right? Good for the Jets.
Yeah, they finally do. I mean, well, tried to do what they never tried to do for Sam Darnold, and that is build an offensive line. Becton, who they selected last year, great start, but as we saw last year, he was injured and it just wasn't enough. The O line still needs help. I really, really like Vera-Tucker because while he does have experience at guard, he also is projected to bump out to the tackle position if needed. So overall, I mean, offensive line is, I'd say, behind quarterback, the most important position group behind quarterback, in my opinion. So just solidifying that and giving the guy, Zach Wilson, who seems scared of his own shadow. I'm sure you guys saw the
Yeah.
photo of him kind of looking around on the red carpet. So, like, giving that guy good protection. And then Eli Moore, who they selected as well. I really like his prospects as a pro. And they're just building a good offense. Joe Douglas, former Eagle, helped build that Super Bowl team, and former Eagle front office. I see Matt.
Right. Matt, get
For
ready.
the Eagles.
Matt, get
Matt
ready.
was like, he never
Actually,
played.
Matt,
No,
get ready for it.
Somewhere Sam Darnold is just crying why this couldn't have been the people that they surrounded him with. Like, it's really a shame that I don't think Darnold would have been really good, but he was put in a situation where he could not succeed.
Now, and here's
everything around him was just collapsing. He had to deal with Adam Gase as his head coach.
yeah, and here's the sad
it's a
truth
disaster.
about life. The sad truth about life is that there are some people who are meant to just take you to the next step. They're just meant to get you over the bad times and through the bad times. And
Matt
then,
Brown.
yeah, Mark Jackson. Like there are people who are just made, and I think Sam Darnold fell into that. Like you were just made to see us over to the other side, and he did his job, and now he's going to try to do it in Carolina. But about the Jets overall, I mean, obviously the second worst team coming into this upcoming season. And how much does this move the needle? Because an A plus, you can't be back in the top 10. If you're an A plus, like to me, that means you're projecting them to be now a 6-7 win team, 8 win team.
I think their defense is solid enough for sure. The offense has to be legit. So, right, I mean, like, it's really going to depend. And, when you're grading drafts, are you grading the prospects and what you think of the prospects, or are you grading, at the end of the year, we look back, who's going to have the best draft? I view it as end of the year. I think that overall the Jets on defense, very, very solid enough that if you get a quarterback who can win you a few games, is slightly above average, which Wilson has the potential to be. You have other weapons on, whether it's Jamison Crowder, Eli Moore. I know Le'Veon Bell is a corpse of what he once was, but you have pieces to where in a division that, I guess is probably locked up, you now have an added wild card spot to get into. I think they maybe push for the playoffs. I don't think they get there, but I think they're in contention for a playoff spot.
One, I don't think the AFC East is wide open. I mean, obviously the Bills had a great.
No, I don't.
I don't think it's locked up. My fault. I don't think it's wide open. I don't think it's locked up. Granted, the Bills had a very good season, AFC Championship game, and all that. We understand. But we have a bunch of teams in that division are upgrading, and I think everyone in that division had a really good draft. Dolphins had a good draft. The Jets had a good draft. Like I think the teams who needed to draft well in that division, the Patriots as well too, got their guys. So I think the AFC East is more open than it's perceived to be. Does that mean that the Jets contend for an AFC East title? No, but I'm kind of with you, Jake. Like I'm looking at if we're grading, it means at the end of the season, what would they have done, or what would the players they drafted have done for their team? Like how much of the players they drafted upgraded their team? That's how I'm giving out these grades. So if you're giving out an A plus, that means Zach Wilson came in, turned the Jets around a little bit. Elijah Moore came in, turned the Jets around a little bit. Is that's the consensus here? That's what we're saying.
I think what you said about expectations is important for what you said about the Eagles. It's also about the Jets. The Jets were embarrassing last year, and they were clearly completely tanking. and they still got the number 2 pick, not number 1. So their goal is to build a team around the quarterback they chose, and they started the foundation. So they did exactly what they were trying to accomplish and got the people that they wanted to do that, like, completely. So for what they were trying to do, they did it completely. So that's why I'd say it's an A+. I do want to say Zach Wilson, he already made a little bit of a violation where he said, I guess it's okay to be a Nets fan when 95% of Jets fans are Knicks fans.
Major red flag. Guy comes into the city, he's like, who's the best? Oh, sure, I'll cheer for the Nets. Like,
yeah.
Have a backbone.
Well, no, here's what he didn't do. He didn't do his homework the right way. You just got to know where it splits. You got to know there's 2 New Yorks, right? 2 New York cities. So you got to know, like, which one matches up. So because the 3 match up, whether it's, Nets, Giants, Mets, or if it's the other way around, like, I don't know.
So I feel like
it's got to be Nets, Jets, Mets, right? Like, I feel like that is that not would that not make sense?
The Nets is like only because it's Brooklyn. It's weird. I feel like if you're a Jets fan, you're a Mets fan. I think that's the only real, like, big connection.
Well, you remember the Nets were New Jersey too.
Yeah,
which is like obscure.
The Nets were in Jersey with which is where it's hard to say.
That's where the Giants play.
Right.
So I have a strong opinion. I have like 3 different Knick fan friends, all of them, and I would imagine it's a little bit of jealousy, but anytime the Nets get brought up, no one in New York cares about the Nets. The only people who care about the Nets are outside New York.
All right, bro, I get it.
The Nets have no fans.
I get it. You're from New York.
So, like, it's just like, why? Like, it's not enough for your team is having a great year and you can celebrate the Knicks being good.
No, because they're not better than the Nets. What? They're not better than no. I can now understand his saltiness. I understand his saltiness. It doesn't matter how good the Knicks are. The Nets are the best team in their conference. All people are talking about it, KD and Kyrie. Granted, a lot of people are talking about the Knicks too.
KD wanted to go to New York. And he looked at the Knicks and like, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot.
I would too. What a 10-foot pole.
So they're so upset that Dolan reduced them to the point where the Nets were the better New York option that it's like if you had like a supermodel girlfriend that left you for your ugly cousin. And you're wondering what went wrong.
Ugly cousin, too. Everybody talking about the ugly cousin this year. Ugly cousin talking to town.
Hey,
and the quote, Kyrie,
not left
two max contracts.
The supermodel, and they picked the ugly cousin over you. So you got to be doing some deep internal reflecting on what you did wrong.
You're James Dolan. You got to get rid of James Dolan. 2 max contracts. Anyway, we're talking about the NBA. We're supposed to be talking about the NFL draft, and someone got us on an NBA tangent. So I'm bringing us back.